Yeah. Hair flip, yeah, I'm a badass bitch. I don't like it. Hair flip, yeah. Oh my god. So you guys should be happy. Oh my goodness. Hair flip. But anyways, hair flip. Hair flipping on these hoes. Hi.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to your boy SeanDavieWay. I hope everybody is having a great day. So we are going to get into Kendrick Johnson into this video today. Kendrick Johnson was a 17-year-old sophomore in high school in Georgia, and he unfortunately passed away January 10th, 2013. He was bright, he was well behaved with his family, they adored him, and unfortunately he was found on the 10th of January inside of a gym mat inside of his high school. His mother called and reported him missing after a time of him not coming home and things of that nature. You know, the age-old story when a parent's worst nightmare, to where your child doesn't walk in that door when they are supposed to. So we will definitely be getting into that. I'm sorry that this story has so many layers. So shout out to his family and rest in peace to you, Kendrick. I am so sorry, young man. It's so unfortunate because he has such a bright life ahead of him, being talented, and it's just really sad. So we will be getting into this. Like I said, there are many dimensions to it, so I'm gonna try my hardest to keep you on task because it's a lot and it's very distracting. So thank you once again for joining me, and let's get into the story.
Following at this hour, law enforcement taking a fresh look at the mysterious death of a Georgia teenager.
Investigation into the death of Kendrick Johnson. The teen's body was found in a rolled-up gym mat in a high school in 2013. His death ruled accidental. Sheriff Ashley Polk says his office has finally been able to get boxes of documents to review given to them by
the Valdosta Daily Times. We are able to follow 17-year-old Kendrick Johnson on his final walk through the halls of Lowndes High School. Kendrick's path takes him through C wing of the building, following his third block class, which was dismissed at 1:25.
Kendrick Johnson's death was ruled accidental. They ruled it that it was from blunt force trauma. So allegedly, when Kendrick went inside of the gymnasium, which the camera footage shows that he went in and he went to the far side of the gym where the mat was, allegedly he lost his shoe within the mat and he went inside of the mat in order to get his shoe, which didn't make sense because the mat was 14 inches across and Quinden's shoulders alone were 16 inches. So due to the he wouldn't have fit. He just wouldn't fit in there. So with that being said, he allegedly went inside of the mat to retrieve the shoe, which didn't make sense because the mat was sitting there alone, the mat that they found him in. So he could have unrolled the mat to, get to the shoe, or he could have pulled the mat out. He's a pretty strong young guy. So he could have definitely done that, but that didn't happen, unfortunately, and he was found the way he was found. Now, both of his shoes are at the bottom of the mat, which if he was reaching for one, why would both of them be at the bottom of the mat? And why was there also blood there? That didn't make sense. Blood was found in other places, and the blood that was found did not match Kendrick's blood. So obviously, due to how they found him and the pictures that came from the crime scene, he was beaten clearly to his face. He was visibly beaten and there was bruising along the rest of his body. So clearly something physically happened to him. And how the mat looks, if you pay attention, it looks as if he was rolled up inside of it and the shoes were placed there instead of the other way around. So that literally does not make sense at all. So in order for him to be beaten, I understand that you would need suspects, and here they are. Kendrick had gotten into a physical altercation with these two, Brian and Brendan Bell, and they did not get along. They didn't get along at all. These young men, father, Brian and Brendan, is an FBI agent, and we're about to get into that as well. Meet Brian and Brendan Bell. These two young men went to school with Kendrick Johnson, and they were also rivals with one another. They got into a physical altercation before, they got into fights, and they definitely had a problem with each other. Now, Brendan and Brian Bell, their father is an FBI agent. A lot of people feel a lot of ways in what happened with this case due to their father having so much power and with everything that actually happened. Now, Brendan and Brian Bell were both on the wrestling team. The day Kendrick went missing, the wrestling team left that day for a meet. Now, how it was documented before, it was documented that the team had actually left before Kendrick went missing. Actually come to find out that the team was actually there, and that the boys, once the camera footage was finally brought out, is that these two teenagers, Brian and Brendan, at the time, the rivals of Kendrick, were actually still at the school, and they actually were in the same area as where Kendrick went missing. Now, I'm going to let Anonymous wrap this up because they do a really good job in piecing all the pieces together. So shout out to Anonymous for this video, and I would love to hear in the comments what you guys think about it.
We are Anonymous. On the evening of January 10, 2013, 17-year-old Kendrick Johnson, a sophomore at Lowndes High School in Valdosta, Georgia, was reported missing by his mother Jackie, a bus driver for Lowndes County Schools. He had went to school that morning, but did not return home, so his mother called 911. The following day, KJ's body was discovered inside of a gym mat in Lowndes High School's old gym. The superintendent, Wes Taylor's two daughters, were the first to discover KJ's body by seeing a pair of feet with white socks sticking out of the vertical rolled gym mat. These students notified teachers, and they moved the gym mat to the floor, exposing KJ's body still in the gym mat. Local authorities were called, as well as the Georgia Bureau of Investigations. Both law enforcement agencies were on the scene for hours before the coroner was called, which is a violation of Georgia law. Paramedics that arrived on scene said the scene should be considered a crime scene. They were aware that the scene they were at was that of a homicide. The paramedics noticed bruising on KJ's body, including bruises to his neck and face. The law enforcement agencies did not secure the area with crime scene tape, as they already had a theory in place as to what happened. Their official story is that KJ, whose shoulders measured 19 inches wide, dove headfirst into a 6-foot-long rolled-up gym mat, with a hole of 14 inches wide, to obtain a shoe. He had gotten stuck in the mat, and being upside down for that long, he died. There was a pool of blood under the gym mat, but none on the shoe that he had dived in the mat to retrieve. KJ's shoes that he was wearing when he was last seen on the surveillance cameras were tossed into the mat near his feet that were in the air. There were also another pair of gym shoes and a hoodie near the gym mat. Those were not collected as evidence. There was also blood on a vertical beam located near the mat, and the trash can in one of the bathrooms of the old gym was filled with bloody paper towels. These were quickly dismissed by saying a female had gotten injured in the old gym the night before, as KJ's dead body was laying in the mat. The blood was only tested to see if it matched KJ's, and it did not. When asked about the evidence that was not collected, Sheriff Chris Prime became angry and said this.
Got some questions about the Kendrick Johnson case.
I'm not going to discuss that with you.
Why not, sir?
Because our case is closed.
The family has some concerns about why some things were not taken into evidence. There was blood on the wall.
Discuss the case with you.
And why is that?
Because I don't want to.
Then, less than a minute after he'd invited us in,
What did you not understand that I said? I'm through talking to you.
The coroner was not notified for 6 hours. Sheriff Prine excused this as not wanting the coroner to have to wait on investigators to sweep the scene. There are reports that the investigators wore gloves during the investigation, but they failed to wear foot protection. The foot protection is not to actually protect the shoes from anything, but to protect the scene from any foreign contaminants. Several students at Lowndes High School said they saw KJ's body be taken out of the gym immediately after discovery. The students who were interviewed about the discovery share a very similar explanation. They said students often played on top of the mats. On the evening of January 11th, Sheriff Prine was telling media it was an accident. Some information on positional asphyxia from Wikipedia.com was included in the sheriff's report. The coroner, after being pursued by Victor Blackwell from CNN, later admitted that the scene had been compromised and the report he wrote was changed by Lowndes County Sheriff. He provided his original report, and Lowndes County Sheriff's Office had removed many things from it. KJ's mother was at the office in the school that day checking to see if her son had come to school. He had been marked absent. During her time in the office, KJ's body was discovered and the school went on lockdown. Students at the school informed KJ's mother that it was her son that was found. She tried to go to the gym to identify the body, but law enforcement refused to allow her to see it. The next day, KJ's father, who was out of town for work, returned to town and tried to identify the body, but was denied access. The LSCO took KJ's body to the Valdosta Lowndes Regional Crime Lab. This lab does not have any affiliation with the GBI or the Office of the Coroner, but is directly connected to the Lowndes County Sheriff's Office and Valdosta City Police Department. Sheriff Prine was adamant in stating that officers in his office were not involved in compromising the death scene or the body is false. It was officers directly connected to LSCO that had access to the body after it was discovered. The gym mat shoe theory doesn't work. There is no way a teenager would dive headfirst into a mat propped up in the corner of the gym to get a shoe, while holding his headphones in his hand. If alone, it is impossible that his sneakers would end up on top of him. KJ's shoes were most likely taken off of him so his killers could more easily fit his body into the mat while rolling it up. From the very start, KJ's family never believed the story of the mat. It was only the second day back after Christmas break that KJ was killed. Lowndes High School was supposed to hand over all surveillance video the morning KJ's body was discovered. The IT tech said there was a problem and supposedly handed over video days later. KJ's family had to sue the school in court to get access to it. CNN also gained access to it and called experts in to evaluate. These experts said there was hours missing from the cameras right outside the gym. With all the discrepancies of evidence, testimonies, and witnesses, we call bullshit on the official story. So has the federal prosecutor who opened an investigation in October 2013. Karen Bell, wife of FBI agent Rick Bell and mother of Brandon and Brian Bell, told the Atlanta Journal-Constitution that her sons and FBI agent husband are the targets of the federal investigation. Brian and KJ had fought before and the Johnson family are suing Lowndes County School District for not protecting KJ from being bullied by the Bell brothers on campus. Brian is a star linebacker on the football team and is committed to playing for FSU football next year under coach Jimbo Fisher. In fact, Jimbo Fisher was visiting Lowndes High School and pulled Brian Bell out of class the morning that KJ's body was discovered in the old gym. In interviews, Karen Bell says her son is the victim and is afraid for his safety. There are only 2 students who refused to be interviewed by investigators, Brandon and Brian Bell. However, Brian and his mother Karen have been interviewed by Atlanta Journal-Constitution and Karen has given several interviews to Adam Floyd of the Valdosta Daily Times. Adam Floyd is the main writer assigned to the Kendrick Johnson case for the Valdosta Daily Times and is the creator of the Kendrick's Last Walk video on YouTube as well as providing a timeline for KJ's disappearance. You should know that Adam Floyd was a teacher at Lowndes High School when KJ was killed. He left his teaching job to be employed full-time at the Valdosta Daily Times. Brandon Bell told a reporter on Twitter that the wrestling team was in Macon, Georgia on January 9th, 10th and 11th. The information first given by Lowndes High School was that the wrestling team left early on the morning of January 10th. Now, thanks to evidence found through the Johnson family lawyers, Lowndes High School has admitted that the wrestling team did not leave LHS until 12:30 on January 10th. This leaves a block of time in which KJ, Brandon, and Brian Bell all had lunch. The narrative provided by Lowndes County Sheriff's Office said that KJ went missing during 4th block. However, thanks to an interview with Lee Touchton, lead investigator of the SCLC, we know KJ went missing during 3rd block, where he shared a lunch period with both Bell brothers. Recently released surveillance video by the Johnson family lawyers shows Brandon Bell crossing the hallway back and forth by the old gym. At one point he completely changes his clothing. There is a cover-up of mass proportions in Valdosta, Georgia. There is no way that the official story could be the truth. KJ was found beaten and bloody, stuffed inside of a mat that he could have gotten out of. The collection of evidence was mishandled purposely to help cover up the crime. The surveillance was edited with hours deleted. The only DNA tested the blood on wall to match KJ's and it didn't match. What really happened to Kendrick Johnson that day? Who killed that boy before he could begin exploring life after high school? Why did the authorities not do a full and complete investigation into the death of this teen? With every piece of new evidence that is revealed, there are more questions raised than answers given. Some black students were told they were not allowed to be interviewed by law enforcement. Administration at Lowndes High School told students if they talked, their graduation would be threatened. The people of Valdosta know a cover-up has taken place and that local law enforcement will harass and arrest them for providing false statements. The people are afraid of the backlash if they come forward. The time has come for those people to join the fight for justice. Expose the corrupt for who they are. Expose the racism that is alive and well in Valdosta. The time has come to stand against the oppressors and fight for the truth. We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Lowndes County, Georgia. You should have expected us.